Before we wrap up today, I have to ask the two following questions. Who wants us to rebuild society? Who wants to help finance those efforts by paying taxes? Hello ladies and gentlemen, like you, I detest paying taxes, but despite this, I'll take it upon myself today to explain the NCR ending of Fallout New Vegas. Meet Bobbie Sue, an army brat from Post Apocalyptic California, who has made her way to Post Apocalyptic Nevada to join the new California Republic. While her parents wanted her to be a lawyer, she always took more to following in the footsteps of her grandfather, an ex-ranger for the NCR. These two share a special bond.
Bobbie, inside of you there are two wolves constantly fighting for control. One represents light and hope, the other darkness and evil.
Which one wins, Grandpa?
I shit my pants.
While she has a military background, Bobbie prefers diplomacy over gunmanship, using her intelligence and charisma to outsmart her enemies. When pushed too far though, she is not above using drastic measures to set the record straight. Firmly opposed to alcohol, drugs and gambling, she developed remarkable endurance and could outrun anyone from her hometown. Though she despises the vicious nature of the New Vegas region and what it represents, she ventures into the area with hopes of aiding the NCR in holding Hoover Dam. Eventually, she became entangled in the delivery of the platinum chip. That job sent her on a path that ended when a sharply dressed twink in a checkered suit by the name of Benny put a bullet in her head. Bobbie was left fatally wounded, only to be rescued by Victor, a western-themed robot who talks like this.
Well, butter my butt and call me a biscuit.
He dug her out of her shallow grave and carried her to Doc Mitchell, the local physician of a town called Goodsprings. Once she was cleared to carry on, she had a choice to make. She could either pursue revenge and go after Benny, or she could first give back to Goodsprings, as the local powder gangers made life difficult for its inhabitants. In an attempt to restore post-war society to its former glory, the NCR adopted some pre-war practices into its organization, such as prison slavery, except giving a group of undesirable delinquents dynamite financed by the taxpayer isn't such a good idea. Funnily enough, explosions are also their primary weakness. With the gratitude of Goodsprings in her pocket, Bobbie followed in Benny's footsteps, but because the road to the strip was closed, she had to take the long way around and ended up in Primm. This town had problems of its own however. Most notably, there was no one left to enforce the law. Thus, she arranged for the NCR to absorb Primm. Bobbie thought that the NCR absorbing Primm would be a win-win. The NCR gains a central trading hub and Primm would be protected. But as is custom with the NCR, this would require Primm to pay taxes. But how can you expect people who are so devoid of the concept of civilization grasp the necessity of paying taxes? Taxes are used for financing roads, education and universal healthcare. Primm had none of these things. All they had was a non-functional roller coaster. And Bobbie knew the NCR well enough to know that they wouldn't spend the budget on restoring it. So what was even the point of this arrangement for the Primmians? Had Bobbie aided Primm with this, or had she accidentally smothered it underneath the warm blanket of democracy? Eventually, Bobbie found her way to the Mojave outpost. It was here that Bobbie got her first taste of the inefficiencies plaguing the NCR. Supply lines were stalled by wildlife infestations, and NCR personnel could do nothing except waiting for permission to do something about it. But not Bobbie. Because she was not officially part of the NCR, she could come and go as she pleases, kinda like a house cat. She used that freedom to help out the NCR with some odd jobs, most notably discovering the fate of a recent detachment that was sent to Nipton. The short answer: max execution and crucifixion by the hands of Caesar's Legion. Caesar's Legion is a collection of tribes that were conquered by a ruthless warlord under the moniker of Caesar. He hopes to instill the values of the classical Roman Empire, including its less humane practices like slavery and crucifixion. Notably, he insists that his forces use weaponry that does not depend on technology. Guns can jam, but a sword only fails when its master does. His ultimate goal? Conquer the city of New Vegas as his crown jewel. To do that, he needs to wrest control of Hoover Dam from the NCR. On paper, one faction should annihilate the other. In practice, they are evenly matched. It was not the first time that the NCR had to hold off the Legion from conquering Hoover Dam. During the first battle, the NCR's victory was so overwhelming that it nearly spelled the end of the Legion. 4 years later, the Legion is back in full swing, as seen by the fate of Nipton. Bobbie told the NCR what had happened, and they take it about as well as they can.
We'll never stop them. We're doomed.
She then made her way to Novac. Novac is a quiet town that cannot figure out which way they want to face their dinosaur mascot. The town falls under the protection of two NCR snipers, Boone and Manny. The duo had a falling out after the tragic disappearance of Boone's pregnant wife. I've already covered the outcome of this in another video, but I still want to have Boone as a follower, so... Boone, is this some bitch? This was not the only problem Novac had to deal with, as they were plagued by an increasing amount of ghoul attacks. If Bobbie helps Manny with getting rid of the ghouls, he will tell Bobbie what he knows about Benny's whereabouts. But all is not what it seems, as the ghouls are a mostly peaceful group that has taken refuge in the Rapcon test site, hoping to use its pre-war rockets to travel to the great beyond in the stars. Bobbie decides to help this group of misfits, until this happened.
God, but are you ugly?
Boom. It's also this son bitch. Despite this, Bobbie uses her knowledge of rocket science to help the ghouls ascend to space. Bobbie hadn't been in Vegas for long, but she had tried her best to restore what little civilization she could. Everyone deserves safety and a fighting chance. Manny then sent her on her way to Boulder City, where Benny's henchmen are in a crossfire with the NCR. Bobbie, using her skills of diplomacy and conflict resolution to de-escalate between the NCR and members of the Great Guns gang, ensures that everyone can walk away with their lives. This freed up the way for Bobbie to enter the strip, which is still subject to a credit check. Despite hating gambling, Bobbie plays a mean hand of Caravan, cause it's not gambling when you know you're going to kick some ass. When Bobbie reached the strip, she ignored Mr. House's invitation, because that would mean delivering the platinum chip to him, which would then result in his robot army becoming even more powerful, and we already did that route, so he can get fucked for all I care. Instead, Bobbie, not above using her feminine wilds to get ahead, went to confront Benny, and she's like, thanks to you I got an extra hole now, wanna make use of it? And Benny is like, I'd expecting flaming hot sex. Some part of that expectation would surely be met, so naturally the NCR gets wind of this commotion and they're like, you know what? We could use someone with your gusto. And they recruit Bobbie to make contact with the boomers. As they are a reclusive yet uncontacted yet untaxed tribe that shoot anyone approaching their base with artillery shells. That kind of firepower might be able to turn the tide at the Battle of Hoover Dam, so she cleverly outruns the bombardment because she's quick as hell. Reluctantly, the boomers accept Bobbie into their community, where she learns of VR flying simulations, but she can't use them because Fallout New Vegas only had an 18-month development cycle, and that shit would have taken developer resources to make, I guess. Even so, Bobbie proves herself to be a dependable ally, and after aiding the boomers with some pesky pest problems, she helps uncover a pre-war bomber plane from Lake Mead. The recovery of this vessel marks the start of an alliance between the NCR and the boomers. A kinship of explosive proportions, if you catch my drift. Returning to the NCR embassy, Bobbie was briefed on the ongoing hostilities in Freeside. NCR citizens that recently moved to the outer slums of Vegas are constantly in conflict with its original inhabitants. Intel suggests that the violence is instigated by Pacer, a high-ranking member of the Kings gang. The Kings are situated in the School of Impersonation, where people could learn how to impersonate Elvis.
See you around, baby.
While Elvis plays a huge part in the world building of New Vegas, none of his songs are present in the soundtrack because that shit is expensive. Because no licensing was ever paid, I don't think Elvis himself is ever explicitly mentioned by name, but that does not stop the king from leading his gang like he's the man himself. One day, while he was scavenging the ruins of Freeside, he came across the ruined School of Impersonation, where he discovered holotapes and books, all explaining how to be like Elvis. Thinking him to be a godlike being of sorts, the king learned everything there was to know about him. During the events of the game, the Kings are a dominant force in the Freeside region, where the king leads them while impersonating Elvis, never breaking character. He places a lot of value on personal freedom and respect. Those same values are under pressure now that the NCR is looking to set up shop. He also has a cybernetic dog named Rex. Bobbie, hoping to end the hostilities, gains the king's trust by doing him a personal favor.
One of those bodyguards is making a little too much money.
Boom.
Ah, so it went down like that, huh?
Yup. During their professional relationship, Bobbie discovers that the NCR only gives free food to NCR citizens, but not to Freeside locals. The NCR initially sent an envoy to the king to coordinate relief efforts, but the envoy never arrived, as Spacer, the king's right-hand man, who is morally flexible, made sure they didn't. So the king never even knew about the envoy, and he just thinks the NCR is a bunch of dicks. Clearing up this misunderstanding will result in the king and the NCR teaming up for relief efforts for the poor in Freeside. Bobbie can then ask a single favor from the king. For the best outcome, the king can be persuaded to use his reputation in Freeside to cease the hostilities towards the newcomers from the NCR. That would be the diplomatic approach. The fast way is to just vaporize Spacer. The situation between Freeside and the NCR stabilizes, but there are more factions that threaten the NCR, such as the Great Khans, a group of tribal savages that raided the NCR for years. Though the NCR retaliated and almost destroyed the Great Khans, the Republic still held a grudge against a small group of survivors. Bobbie shared in that grudge, as a group of Great Khans had allied themselves to Benny when the motherfucker shot her in the head. Boom. Though a swift resolution for this was reached, the Khans were not the only threat to the NCR. There's also the Omertas family, a tribe that runs one of the casinos on the Strip. NCR intelligence suggests that they are conspiring with Caesar's Legion, and Bobbie is sent to investigate. In their casino, Bobbie helps a mistreated prostitute named Joanna escape. When she and her girls, known only by their names Disguised Hooker 1 and 2, finally reach the relative safety of Freeside, she reveals that there may in fact be some truth to the rumors that the Omertas are working for Caesar. So Bobbie asked one of the leaders with special needs for the deeds.
Caesar asked us to provide a distraction on the Strip, so when he gives the word, we're gonna launch an all-out assault on the Strip.
And then solve the problem the best way she knew how when the words escaped her. The playing field for the NCR was becoming more and more clear, all thanks to Bobbie. Being the only one able to enter the Lucky 38 casino, she was sent in to neutralize Mr. House, as this was his base of operation. The NCR suspects that when a full-scale battle at Hoover Dam is in effect, Mr. House will third-party them and come out on top, just like in Fortnite. So Bobbie unplugs him from his life support.
Why?
And he has something to say about this.
You sad, misguided whore.
Rumors speak of a hidden chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel somewhere in Vegas. Obsessed with preserving technology, the Brotherhood clashed with the NCR over Hoover Dam and other vital energy sources for years. Like the NCR, their military power is formidable, making conflict between these two almost inevitable, because war
never changes.
While the Brotherhood is arguably better equipped, the NCR had a larger pool of people to pull from, and during the events of the game, a small, weakened chapter of the Brotherhood remains in Vegas. NCR officials are concerned and task Bobbie with the eradication of this chapter, as keeping small weeds alive in the present could mean the destruction of the entire garden in the future. Filled with trepidation, Bobbie asks if there wasn't a diplomatic approach to this obstacle. There wasn't. Bobbie started noticing a pattern with the NCR. While they did their best to do good for the land and the people, it only mattered that it was their land and their people. Anyone not falling in line was not worth the good graces of the NCR.
Why don't you go cry to your wife then? Oh, that's right. She left your worthless stinking ass.
You son of a bitch!
Perhaps the NCR was a necessary evil to tame the wasteland, an evil that she was now intertwined with. Perhaps she should have just become a lawyer. But you know what they say? In for a penny, in for a pounding. To raise morale of the NCR troops, President Kimball is set to appear at Hoover Dam to give a speech. The higher-ups think he's a dum-dum for this, as Caesar's Legion is literally set up on the horizon of the dam, with a clear, unrestricted vantage point. In response, Bobbie is sent to oversee security detail at Hoover Dam. When she notices this during the president's speech, she immediately springs into action, and her quick thinking allows President Kimball to escape with his life. After the botched assassination attempt, the Legion launches their full-scale attack on Hoover Dam. Bobbie is sent with Boone to push into Caesar's line of defense and confront its commander, Lanius, and this motherfucker was huge. Too huge even for Bobbie's flamethrower. So she sought to reason with this behemoth of a man.
Our roads into NCR are hung with the bodies of those who attempted to negotiate with us. Save your speeches. We will take Hoover Dam and move forward until our feet crush the setting sun beneath them.
Instead of turning him away by flexing the might of the NCR, she tells the legate that the NCR will surely not hold the dam, and when the Legion moves to take the west, the east shall fall as there is too much ground to cover for the Legion. So the legate is like, oh man, that's what I've been telling Kaiser. And he decides to back off, but warns that one day he will return. So the NCR holds Hoover Dam and Bobbie is hailed as a hero for her efforts. That night, Bobbie's grandpa visits her in her sleep.
Bobbie, that was some reverse psychology shit. I fuck with it.
Thanks, Bob. And that's how Bobbie became the hero of the NCR. While they brought peace and stability to Nevada, almost all ending slides mention the exorbitant amount of taxes, so maybe I should have gone with the Mr. House ending, which you can watch right here. Alright, thanks for watching and I love you. If you're looking for a sign from the universe to chase a dream you've been putting off for a while, this is it. Okay, see you in the next one.